if you were to just whip it out on the dark side of the moon, no one would believe it. Like, what? No, this person.
That would like to remind you that Tuesday will be Power Plant Day and Bridge Day, all wrapped in one. The Biffler, there will be nothing like it. Record the fucking podcast, you crazy bastards, or you'll be living in hell. Just watch. Praise be to Allah.
That's appropriate for the Biffler.
My name is Bob, sitting across the way from my good friend and co-host. That's Abe. How you doing tonight, Abe?
Doing well, Bob.
Yeah, here we are. Lori's here too. How you doing tonight, Lori?
I am much better than last week.
Lori is much better than last week. Tonight is Monday, April 6th, 2026. The eve of Bridge Day. And
This
Power
is
Plant Day. Many times is celebrated.
And in the middle of the run of birthdays in our lives.
Yeah, very exciting.
It's remarkable that, during the first Trump term many moons ago, we had Infrastructure Week, and now we have a different kind of Infrastructure Day, so to speak, where you're destroying, which, you hear all these analysts on the networks and on print, saying that this is a war crime. You know what he's saying? Like, not that it all matters, but I just find it amusing that we're going to destroy all of these things on Tuesday, which I think is going to hit Tuesday at some point, right? Tonight, as we record?
Yeah, it'll be Tuesday in Iran, I think. Right?
Yeah.
It's always Tuesday somewhere.
We'll get to the rest of that here momentarily. Abe, how was your weekend?
Had a very pleasant weekend overall. It's Easter weekend, and for those who are into that sort of thing, how about that? But in Atlanta here, we had a 404 Day. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Atlanta's area code. Is 404.
Is it like an error message?
It should be, yeah. That's the other.
So yes, an important area code in the Atlanta metro area. But also, way back in the late 90s, mid to late 90s, they had already introduced 678 and 770.
Yes.
Seb Mo.
So they had three of them.
Yeah, there were three. But I think as far as the brand, like that is the most... that's the area code that's
there's no rappers going around saying represent the 678.
That is true, and there are like cities
Mo.
like that, right? Isn't like Washington D.C. like 202? I think there's probably some others like in Metro, whatever. But like that's like what people associate. There are certain area codes that are associated with the city, and 404 is one of them. And April 4th is 404, and this year it fell on a Saturday, a warm Saturday, and the city was just. Overwhelmed with people. There's just far too many people. Speaking of infrastructure, this city's infrastructure cannot handle the number of people who live here now.
Right.
And when you have...
It couldn't handle the number of people that lived there 20 years ago.
Yeah. And they have not improved infrastructure since then. And so it has become worse. So, like, traffic was insane. Parking lots were insane. During the day, things were mostly fine. I took my nephew to some Falcons event that they were doing. It's April. It's many, many months away from the season, but whatever. I guess they wanted to just take part in the 404 Atlanta Day. I think it was like a social media thing because there were a lot of kids. But the day turned into very violent evening where there were many deaths.
I saw that.
Just a lot of chaos. I'm not sure if they want a repeat of this because the city kind of embraced this 404 gimmick. They've done it in the past, but it hasn't really fallen on a weekend like this. And, it rotates. But like this particular weekend was just disastrous. Just the way that things ended were just a bunch of kids were just unsupervised kind of roaming the streets and then gunshots. I think there was like a toddler that died, a teenager that died, just a rough week.
How did the toddler die? Like a drive-by stray or something?
Yeah, stray bullet. I don't know what because all the deaths happen past sundown, not to blame the toddler, but like why are adults bringing their toddler children at night in this chaotic environment? It was just the whole thing was regrettable. But yeah, a lot of people died. The city, like I said, embraced this day, and now it looks kind of like, oh, maybe let's not do that again going forward.
So they're not.
Someone needs to remind
not planning-
Atlanta.
Yeah.
Atlanta sucks.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Not planning to run it back for 770 Day, like July 7th.
July 2nd.
Would that be like in Buckhead or something? Where's 770?
I mean, they're all over the city.
They're
that's
all
right,
over.
yeah.
It doesn't matter.
It's not.
Yeah.
But like you would think that the 404 numbers are clustered more close to whatever the center of Atlanta is. And then as it spreads, as the sprawl happens, they have to add area codes.
Yes.
So like, Fairfax City, 706 was always Northern Virginia, not 706, 703. And then if you met someone with a 571, it was just like,
Oh, you're one of the new ones.
you're
Because Athens, of course, was 706.
That's right.
706.
And then
What
they
was
had
South
to
Georgia,
add,
like
they had to add
470?
another Athens area code
Ew.
towards the end of our run there.
I don't like that.
Yeah, because like the south of Georgia has like a 470 or some other number. There's like there's another like Georgia number that's like from the sticks down south.
It's also meaningless now. It used to matter. You see
Yeah.
what the area code was that popped up on your phone. You'd be like, "This is interesting. This is coming from Michigan." It's like,
Yeah, that is actually true. Yeah,
Spam.
it mattered very little now. Anyways, I know I realize now that I opened my weekend recap by saying it was great, and then I ended it
And
with a
then
bunch
many
of death and mayhem.
young people died.
So for me, it was fine, but for others, not so.
Is this? So you said this was Saturday. What I noticed anecdotally.
We also had an infrastructure problem.
Oh yeah.
Did we? What was our infrastructure problem?
Luke Combs.
Oh yeah, we can talk about that in a minute. Question about Atlanta party culture, though,
Yes.
Abe. Friday night, I noticed because we were down there 2 weekends ago. I was down there.
Yeah, was that last? Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, and so like Friday evening after dinner, I'm walking from the restaurant back to the hotel, and it doesn't feel like a Friday night in a hip happening sort of downtown area. And it's a fairly well trafficked part of town there where the Hyatt is. Like, there are plenty of restaurants and seemingly stuff to do. But anyway, the city didn't feel terribly alive, even when we went out later that night. And
Yeah, that is true.
Some of
Yeah.
the places were not open. You would have thought would have been open. And then Saturday, I was looking around, like, because we get back from the Braves game, and I'm just kind of keeping an eye on things and looking around, and the city felt very much more vibrant. Is this a staple of Atlanta weekend life that Friday is relatively calm, but Saturday is the night that everybody goes out and parties?
That generally is true because of the Friday starting off with work, so it's like a much longer day. I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but there is some of that. The one difference though between like when you were here that weekend versus this one, which is why it made this perfect storm of bad behavior. This is Atlanta Public Schools and surrounding counties spring break, right? So like the kids are basically going into. Basically, this was the beginning of that spring break period. Not everybody has plans to like travel and go to wherever more affluent people go. They're just a bunch of kids just roaming the streets. And there was a big 404 like, hey, come here to the park. Piedmont Park is where all the.
When did they used to do Freaknik? What time of year was that?
Freaknik.
That's a good point. I think it was a spring break connected
It was
thing,
a spring
right?
break connected event, I think.
Yeah,
This is the remnants of Freaknik.
Yes,
It still
this-
lives in the Atlanta bloodstream somehow.
Yes. Yeah, but this one will be much more difficult to kind of, because that was like an isolated thing. Oh, we're not associated with it. This one, again, during the day, all of these corporate sponsored events, a lot of kids, a lot of older people were there, and it just skewed very young after like 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
I was just going back and forth. I drove like almost 300 miles this weekend, just taking different siblings to the airport and back because one person, which I was glad to. I was like, I enjoy driving, so I was like, all right, I'll do this. And so I was able to see all of the traffic woes, but not the shoot 'em up situation.
I just figured you would have been laser locked on your bike, just making sure that nobody's walking away with your headlamp.
That's right. This would have been a good time for a sting operation.
Lori mentioned infrastructure issues here. What we got to see this weekend was what Charlottesville ought to look like on Saturdays in the fall. but never does.
It never will. Never will.
And it never will. Luke Combs, who I believe we've talked about on the Billboard Hot 100 show a time or two.
Is Luke Combs the heavier set one?
Unknown. Calvin recognized
Jelly
the name
Roll
from
is
College
heavier
Game
set.
Day.
Okay. Luke Combs. Okay. He was doing a thing, like you have an arena?
He is.
At the football stadium.
He's a bigger fella.
Okay, that I'm trying to distinguish him from somebody else. Luke something else.
It's like that time in Athens when Jason Aldean came, and it was awful. It was just the worst day. It was like that, but here.
What's funny is like it felt
Tennessee fans live farther from here, so that's good.
Right. It felt like a game day atmosphere, but Athens. Like it was
like pre-gaming, tailgating kind of environment. Like
yeah.
Okay, so people were just kind of like congregating outside before the.
Yeah, and like our neighborhood had cars parked in it all the way, like I mean, not all the way back, but a couple of blocks worth of our sidewalk or street parking was completely filled with rando cars. The way that it should be every Saturday. Like realistically, we live less than a mile from Scott Stadium, where this concert takes place, and where UVA plays.
We live so close.
Football
we should
games.
be able to get our parking spot rented for like $30.
We should be furious on Saturdays in the fall. Like it should be super annoying to live in this neighborhood on Saturdays in the fall, and it never even comes up. You're like, I guess I'll go. Like I'll take the bypass at 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
You have to remember right before and right after the game not to go on a very specific road.
Right, like one specific road.
You can just,
otherwise,
and that's the
fine.
only precaution, really. That's the only time you would know.
Yeah. But this was a disaster.
Yeah. Did you guys know that this Luke Combs event was happening and that it was going to be a well-attended event?
I didn't know how well-attended.
So basically, he packed the house. Like this is a football game that was like sold out.
Oh yeah.
It was a football game as though it people cared.
Yeah.
I mean, I went out to the grocery store an hour and a half or so before the concert was to take place. And there were people parking in a gas station and getting on one of these rentable scooters to take the scooter down into town. Like and they're all done up like I'm a country country girl out here having a time tonight with my cowboy hat and my cowboy boots on.
Would it be fair to characterize that as a costume? Like, because none of these people are actual cowboys.
No,
it's
an outfit.
Right? It's an outfit. Okay.
Effectively, they put on costumes.
It's an outfit.
Okay, an outfit. That's probably a better term.
It's interesting to me only because, and I said to Lori when we were driving around, sort of in it a little bit, it's just interesting that this is the fucking music that is ambient in the culture to where it becomes a sort of, oh, sure, we'll just go to this concert. Because it's not like these people fucking care. Right? Like, I recognize that Luke Combs is popular.
There are probably a few.
And there are thousands of people who are, like, super Luke Combs fans in the area. And so, yes. But, like, in order for 60 or 70,000 people to fill a college football stadium to watch this idiot play his shitty country music songs, it has to be that, like, the people who don't particularly care are willing to go spend a couple $100 and go to that concert that night.
You might say that only people who don't like music might go to this concert.
Also, I mean, how often does an artist of this caliber, I don't know what caliber this guy belongs, but like how often does Charlottesville get this kind of act? Maybe this is like a novelty.
We don't. It's not even this kind of act because the basketball arena gets, I don't know, Chris Stapleton was there.
Okay.
Relatively large acts. It's the football stadium that doesn't. And the last time they did, it was like the benefit for the terrorism with Dave Matthews.
So like a special event.
It was a whole different thing.
So like Kenny Chesney doesn't make this a regular stop, you know?
No,
Richmond or
DC,
farther south. Not
like
or
Blacksburg or something.
Blacksburg. Even where would they do it? Where the race cars go.
Yeah, between Tennessee, the Tennessee, Virginia,
Bristol.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
like that's the sort of place where you draw in people regionally and they show up. But like there must be, and we knew, I mean, I'll bet you we knew dozens of people who went to this fucking thing. And it's not like, anyway, I'm only saying it because, like, in my head, it's like 35 years ago, it's the sort of thing where, like, oh, Aerosmith is going to play the football stadium. Let's all go, because it's fucking Aerosmith. And it's like, I'm not a huge Aerosmith fan, but hey, Aerosmith's coming to town. Everybody listens to Aerosmith because that's what's on the radio. Like, that was the level of ambient culture that we were swimming in back then, and now it's Luke Combs. Right. It's like, you can't convince me that shit's not obviously worse.
Well, I mean, yeah. I just looked up his tour dates. It seemed like he's doing some sort of college football arena thing. Like, he's going to Ames, Iowa, then Notre Dame, then Columbus, then Knoxville, then Norman, Oklahoma. Like, all of the...
Yeah, and kids are stupider now than they used to be.
We
This
can
all
expect
tracks.
to see him on College Game Day again next year, it sounds like.
Yeah.
This is what's working for him. Anyway, that was our weekend.
Infrastructure problem.
Avoiding Luke Combs traffic. And then we also had Passover dinner, like we usually do, with Lori's mother on Sunday night.
Oh, neat.
We did it on Easter. A little bit sacrilegious from a certain perspective.
No, it's not.
I mean,
it's an 8-day long thing.
Yeah, but when did most Jews have their Passover Seder? It wasn't Sunday
whenever
night.
it started.
Yeah, like last Tuesday or Wednesday or something. Or Wednesday or Thursday, I don't know.
The range of dates that Easter can fall on is pretty, what, like 30 days or something? Like, how, like, it seems like it shifts.
Yeah, it's moon-based, right?
It's the first, wait, I remember. It is the first Sunday after the first full moon, after the vernal equinox.
Wow. Look at that.
So yeah, it moves. It can be as early as like March 24th or something, and as late as like April 24th or something.
Okay, so that tracks. And Passover is less movable? Is it like more of a fixed date?
Passover is also lunar related.
Oh, fine.
But less...
Many moon-based holidays, little did we know. And it's a moon-based kind of week around here.
Everything is coming up moon, right? Yeah.
Anyway, let's talk about stuff in the news, I guess. I think, Abe, you mentioned, you said something about the Trump first term. I forget what it was.
Yeah, he had that...
Infrastructure week.
Infrastructure week, yeah.
So people are freaking out about Trump's tweets over the weekend saying maybe he's lost it or he's losing it and time to 25th Amendment this guy.
This is, by the way, like on Easter Sunday, you got Donald Hussein Trump praising Allah, which is...
Yeah. But I'm reminded of the first term because this is very close to Little Rocket Man, and I've got a much bigger button than you do. And
did he say, if you know what I
works.
mean? Did he add that at the end of that whole thing? Or was that, I'm remembering something else, yeah.
The point is, like, yes, it feels worse because we are actually doing a war, right? Like it's important. The important context here that separates this from the Little Rocket Man flare up back in the first term is that we are in fact doing war right now. So maybe there is a greater cause for concern, but it's not different in kind than that sort of craziness that we experienced the first go around.
Right. And also, like, the statements coming out of the White House and the actions and the behavior of, like, the military just in that region, they don't match. Where it's like every 2 days there's some new argument to be made, and now the latest is this 48-hour window that's coming to a close. Does that get extended due to productive talks that don't seem to be happening? Like, because that could be the easy out. Like, they got scared and now they're willing to talk and budge on some of their issues, and so I
don't know how you can say that talks helped when, to read it again in full this time, quote, Tuesday will be Power Plant Day and Bridge Day all wrapped up in one in Iran. There will be nothing like it. Open the fucking straight, you crazy bastards, or you'll be living in hell. Just watch. Praise be to Allah, President Donald J. Trump. There's not a lot of wiggle room there for him to say, oh, we've had productive talks. He said, open the fucking straight, you crazy bastards, or you'll be living in hell. Just watch. Right. What is the praise be to Allah? by the way?
He
Is
must
it
be
just
doing some sort of mockery, right? Like
That's a troll?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
what else could it be? It was a very weird ad. Like I don't know what the punchline there is.
Well, the day before, he said, "Remember when I gave Iran 10 days to make a deal or open up the Hormuz Strait? Time is running out 48 hours before all hell will rain down on them. Glory be to God." President Donald J. Trump. So he's ending tweets in the same fashion, but with different religious underpinnings there. Is the first one also a troll, or is this
it's kind of hard to figure out what Trump is doing anymore. It seems like he's just all over the place. He's kind of losing the plot a bit. But I'm leaning toward that this is some sort of troll. It just seems like it's an ill-timed one. Like there was some pushback. Some of his Christian people, supporters, didn't seem to like it that it happened on the Easter Sunday.
Pete Hegseth prayed during a religious service at the Pentagon last week that there be, quote, "overwhelming violence of action against those who deserve no mercy." And this was a Christian worship service held on Wednesday. And he read a prayer that he said was given to him by a chaplain who prayed over the troops who went to take out or to arrest Maduro. He said this was the prayer that this guy gave the troops before they carried out their raid in Venezuela, and he liked it so much that he wanted to share it with the people that were gathered at this religious service on Wednesday. And so if that caveat means anything to you in terms of saying, like, this is not Pete Hegseth's direct words, well, he's also couching it in terms of, please get on your knees and pray for the people who are in Iran right now doing this mission. Right. And here's an example of the sort of prayer that we should be sending in their direction. And then he reads from this prayer that was given to him by this other chaplain, and he said, quote, "Let every round find its mark against the enemies of righteousness and our great nation. Give them wisdom in every decision, endurance for the trial ahead, unbreakable unity, and overwhelming violence of action against those who deserve no mercy." End quote. It is weird to pray in the name of Jesus Christ that each bullet finds its mark in the body of your enemy.
Yeah, it's very bizarre, the approach they're taking. Not that the Pope speaks for all Christians, but he kind of pushed back on this whole mindset.
Speaks for all the Catholics anyway.
Just the Catholic Christians, not those others. But
just the real Christians, I think is what you mean to say.
What, your boy G.D. Vance is among them. I do wonder, though, like, who is this messaging for? Both Hegseth's crazy talk and the president's tweets or Truth Social. It can't be for Iranians because, like, it's clear that two things are true. One, the U.S. currently is not able to prevent Iran from closing the Strait of Hormuz, right? For whatever reason that we may, us civilians may not be aware of, they don't have the mechanism to prevent that. So they need to apply pressure on Iran in another way to cause.
But on that to that point, our inability to open the closed strait. Last Wednesday, Trump I think it was Wednesday. Trump gave a speech.
Oh, I know. It was Wednesday. They interrupted the season 50 of Survivor, the 2-hour episode.
That's right.
It was outrageous.
Was it a finale?
No, but this was a first time ever 3 elimination episode, Bob.
Oh my! Did they bump it?
They kind of they cut to the Copel and the company. They did the thing 25 minutes, and then it just continued. So they didn't.
Did they
didn't miss
pause
anything.
it?
But did they pause it? Did you miss anything?
No. They showed it in the back end. So instead of a 2-hour block, it was a 2.5-hour block. So you didn't miss anything. You
Thank
just
goodness.
had to wait.
Because that's not how it used to be.
Right.
It used to be that you just missed it.
Yeah, although it'd be kind of awkward for like a watch party kind of setting.
Did you notice DeCopel kind of looked like shit that night? Maybe he was tired because he was up late or something. He just looked really worn out.
Low energy. So Trump was kind of low energy too. Like, I don't know what was going on.
But like
Bob was also very low energy that night.
I was sick. When we finished recording, I don't know if anybody noticed, but Like you could tell, like just by the sound of my voice, the last 30 minutes that we were recording last week, I was going downhill. And then
I don't know how many people listened to the whole way through.
how dare you? And then I came down with a cold. I was just miserable for like 4 days in a row.
Oh, bummer.
It's like it's almost as though he flew on an airplane, stayed out till whenever the fuck in the morning with you and Chris,
Yeah,
and then
that's
flew
right.
on another airplane
It's your fault,
after
Dave.
going to a big a group gathering. It's weird.
Yeah.
I don't know how you get sick.
Wasn't great for the immune system.
That's
That
right.
trip, probably. Anyway,
Then he blamed the kids after Calvin got his cold.
you know, the kids are the germ factories. Speaking of unrelated here, it sucks that the common cold is as good as it is at mutating. Like, you build up no meaningful defense against the cold the older you get. Like, I always thought, like, by the time you're 40, 50 years old, you've had the cold 1,000 fucking times.
It changes every year.
Surely.
That's why you got to just go to bed.
The body could figure out a way to fight these fucking things, but no.
It has. It's called sleep.
Could you avoid the cold if you like got like the adequate night like sleep every year?
No, that's
like,
a fucking myth.
No,
That's
no,
like
no, no.
that's
No,
like
no,
saying
no.
that you
Shut up.
you can prevent a cold by going out nice and
No.
bundled up when it's under 30 degrees.
No.
Ridiculous.
But the only thing you can
Catch a
do
cold from the temperature.
when you don't have sufficient sleep, your immune function drops
I see.
precipitously.
There you go.
So the only thing that you can actually do is
sure.
get enough rest.
I didn't get shit for sleep over that last weekend, and then ended up getting sick. I agree. It's my fault. Not blaming anybody else but myself. Anyway, Trump in that speech implores upon other global powers, I think Japan and China specifically, to open the strait because it's so important to their economies that the strait be open. It will be easy, he said.
Yeah.
Like I think the quote was like it's really easy for you to do that.
Yeah.
Which is funny because we can't.
That's
Right? Like, and it just makes the US seem like such pussies.
right.
If he's like, and I don't know who is he really talking to? It's classic Trump is, I forget who I heard say this, but it might have been Jonah Goldberg on his podcast, but he says, he's like, you listen to Trump and he will say everything to satisfy every conceivable constituency that you can think of, and none of it coheres from one claim to the next, right? So that he says something that makes some sense if you're trying to like belittle Japan for not getting themselves involved in this situation, or belittle Great Britain for failing to help us in the way that he allegedly wanted help afterwards. That doesn't make any sense relative to the sentence that comes out after that or before that about something slightly different, right? So like, because that's the definition of a bullshitter, right?
Yeah.
Like, on the one hand, we have a bullshitter who's just going to bullshit forever about everything, and none of it has to make any sense. A liar is someone trying to convince you of something. Right. And this goes back to something I've been on for a couple of weeks now, which is the end of persuasion. The fact that public opinion doesn't fucking matter at all anymore. And so persuasion becomes completely beside the point. A bullshitter doesn't really try to persuade you of any particular thing. He's sort of just giving somebody who might defend him at some point in the future a single toehold to latch onto, to say, well, he said this thing this one time, and so therefore I can point at that, and that's the defense that I'm going to make about this. And it doesn't have to cohere or be consistent with anything else that this man says at any other point in time, or any of his actions, of course.
But like you were thinking, like one speech, like this is an address to the nation. All the networks cover it at the same time. It's 19, 20 minutes long, and you have multiple arguments at the same time. Like it will open up naturally with one argument, and then like a few minutes before or after, go ahead and take it. It's easy. It's right there. Even though like, the
It will
US
open up
can't-
naturally, which is, of course, everyone made the connection because it's the same time of year from 6 years ago.
Yeah.
When he's like, it'll be over by Easter. By spring, you'll see COVID. It will just go away naturally.
Yeah. So basically, it was like a similar claim. And so what's odd, and going back to who is this for? Like, if they are trying to inflict some other cost, like destruction of their infrastructure, right? Like, is Iran like this sort of like rational actor that's going to cave because you destroyed, a bridge or some civilian infrastructure? No, they're willing to absorb that cost. So like you need to.
It's more than willing to absorb the cost. That will turn. That is the sort of action that will turn whatever amount of sympathy or with itness that the Iranian people have for America trying to depose this regime. That will turn them against us. If there are any people who aren't, who are over there rooting for us to succeed in terms of removing that regime,
right?
If you start bombing bridges and power plants and immiserating the lives of the innocent people on the ground there, you've done nothing but line them back up behind the assholes that you're trying to convince that you hope that they will eventually rise up against,
right? And so, yeah, that is true. So basically, you're kind of playing into their hand. And so then the next question is, I'm sure there is an option that's presented to the president based on all of the best estimates. Like, I wonder what the cost is to open the strait. Like, if they told them, like, it's going to require X number of troops and we have to anticipate X number of casualties per week for the 3 months it'll take, like, let's say it's like 50,000 troops to provide the sort of protection, and we'll lose like 150 soldiers, and that's like, oh, that's too much. The American public won't stomach that, so that's off the table for the time being. There's got to be some sort of scenario.
I think to keep the strait open, it requires a massive ongoing military presence to prevent Iran from having access to the area around the strait, right? And it's like this awful terrain, and it means that you are exposing U.S. troops to potential attacks,
right?
And it's like that's simply not acceptable, right? Like, it's just not a price that we'd be willing to pay. You're not going to, like, and then for how many years do you have to hold on to that strip of land in that part of the world,
right? And then the next, so is this just busy work, all of these threats, until they figure out another plan, or just continue to bomb them until, like, what's the plan then? Like, it sounds like you're like in a no man's land of decision making. Like, what do? You can't escalate, and the status quo is what? How many more buildings can you bomb?
Right.
Like, where do you go from here?
And to that point, though, like, none clarity was brought in this 20-minute address to the nation last Wednesday, which seemed like sort of an exercise in doing it for the sake of doing it more than it was any like, and the sort of thing that, like, this is a month late at this point, isn't it? Like,
late,
why are we?
And you open with like, hey, how about that moon launch in Venezuela? Good shit, right? Like, just a very weird. It's like I had no idea by the end of it. Like, well, I was like, what was the point of this speech? Like, it did not clarify anything. It did not change anything. It just happened.
Getting back to the praise be to Allah and the glory be to God and the Hegseth, talking about blessing the bullets that they find their true mark in the name of Jesus Christ and all of that. This is something that I've complained about, obviously, for a very long time and written about at some length, especially when it comes to sort of how disappointed I was whenever I heard Obama sort of playing in these waters. This is sort of George W. Bush's whole brand, was to talk about the Jesus and the God aspect of everything. It was not in my preferred conception or my preferred idea about Barack Obama at his best. I don't think that he was a person who believed that he was on the side of the moral will of the divine in some meaningful way, right? Like, it didn't seem like he was that dumb. And then this Hegseth stuff, praying over the bullets.
He does seem dumb.
Reminded me of a story that I read a few weeks ago now. It's from 29 News here in town here, but it's because the UVA Miller Center released an oral history from the Obama administration. This is the political science department or whatever at UVA. And they were releasing oral histories from Obama's term as president, including around the bin Laden raid. They talked about how Joe Biden was praying the rosary during the bin Laden raid. And this is from Admiral Mike Mullen, who was chair of the Joint Chiefs of Staff during the bin Laden raid, told the Miller Center about how he prayed during that time. Quote, he had what is called a rosary ring, which is a smaller version of a Catholic rosary, and he said during the entire time of that raid he was praying that rosary. And then he discovered afterwards that so was then Vice President Biden, and they discovered that the CIA director, Leon Panetta, had also been praying his rosary. Perry then said that President Obama also revealed he had kept a crucifix in his pocket during the raid. And so I don't know how precisely Obama revealed that he was carrying a crucifix in his pocket during the raid on to get bin Laden. But for Panetta and Mike Mullen and Joe Biden to all be praying the rosary, and for Obama to somehow be, fingering the crucifix in his pocket at the time of the raid, it gives me the worst sort of feeling about what it is that we're up to here, especially in the face of the enemy that we are dealing with, which is fanatical, utterly convinced of their righteousness because of their interpretation of what they truly believe to be the will of God.
They could be just praying for the safety of, our guys.
Yeah, but the fact that this comes out, anytime that you bring this up, especially after the fact, it seems like what you're doing is you're trying to give it the blessing of the divine will in a post hoc sort of way, right? Like look, we prayed, and then the result was that we successfully killed this guy, so God must have been on our side. Right. Seems to be the implication here. And I despise that way of seeing the world. And even if you don't believe it, which... I don't know what Barack Obama's heart is when it comes to his professed Christianity. But I remain of the opinion that I would be surprised to find out that he thinks that he is some sort of direct line with the creator of the universe, and that you would pray for his intercession on behalf of your political aims. They want it to suggest a sort of humility or humbleness before a greater power because you have this sort of unimaginable power at your disposal, right? The idea being yes, we are wielding this awful unimaginable power, but even in that moment of great power deployment, I humble myself before a greater power, and therefore that somehow gets me off the hook, maybe. I don't know. Right.
Yeah, I do wonder if there is some of that, there's some sort of there's this cognitive kind of ickiness about it, so you need to kind of invoke religion to give it the veneer of righteousness. You're doing this thing, you're either bombing somebody or you're undertaking something violent, and so you need to kind of give it some sort of religious spin. I always thought the cynical self, I always thought this was just a performance. It gives comfort to the people that somebody's leaning on their faith, right? Oh, he's just like me, or she's just like me. But if they're doing this in private too, right, without an audience, unless they're just doing it for each other's benefit, they must take some comfort in it themselves.
See, that's the thing. I do wonder how much of it is virtue signaling for just the people in the room. Yeah. Because they also know that they're making history here one way or another, right?
They know that this will be repeated. The choices they made here will be written somewhere. There'll be some sort of...
Right. Yeah. There will be a record of every time Joe Biden pulls out his rosary in a moment of great import, that will be noticed. Yes. And noted, right? And put down into the historical record. And we eventually come to find out some decade later, plus 15 years later, that Barack Obama even had a crucifix that he would
Right.
keep handy for these moments of great import.
Right. Hey, and who was it? Your boy Vonnegut? You got to be careful who you pretend to be, because you know, like, soon you'll behave like that. Like, it's kind of hard to distinguish the two. And so politicians, if they're doing it all the time, even in private, they'll probably fall back into their regular behavior in public. And so that could be
and
another
the thing that bums me out, and I think that because Barack Obama would still end all of his speeches with "and God bless the United States of America," even when he's, you know, given a speech about ISIS or whatever, and like the way that these fanatics have true beliefs about what God wants in the world.
Right.
And then he talks about God bless the troops and God bless. Like, to me, it's just you're playing right into their hands, and yeah, it's just part of the rhetoric of the way that we do things here when we're trying to communicate with one another. But then now we end up with Pete Hegseth praying over the bullets that they find their true targets,
Right.
which is just fucking jihad shit.
It is, like, yeah, that's true. But the concerning thing to me is that there is a concerted effort, and it's been happening for some years now, to build a Christian nationalist coalition. That because they're trying to play on the Christian identity to create this movement, and because there are a lot of black people who are Christian, you know, so like you're trying to bypass the racial barriers that existed in party dynamics in the past. There seems to be this effort to invoke God much more than in past situations, to where now, like, emails from agency heads about "he is risen" are commonplace than they were, you know, even like 2 years ago. So, like, I think this is part of an effort to shift the way people speak about things in public office.
And this is why the separation of church and state should matter more to the religious than it should matter to the secular. And it's because it cheapens and degrades and makes a mockery of your preciously held beliefs. It bastardizes them in service of disgusting human ends. And it makes the thing that you profess to believe a total mockery of itself. There's nothing that I can conceive of that is more purely anti the message of Christ than blessing the bullets that are being used to do a war of choice in some foreign land. Like, it is the definition of anti-Christian I mean, and it's. I said to the kids when I was giving a speech much like this one to them, it's not that long ago.
They had asked why. Oh, it came up naturally. I forget. Doesn't matter. Never mind.
Yeah, I didn't go to them with this. It came up in conversation, and then I got off a good one, as I am wont to do. But, like, this is demon shit. Yeah. You look at this, and when I stumbled when I said almost antichrist, but it is. Yeah. It is antichrist shit to stand there, and this is a handsome man who's, like, belongs on television, right? The Pete Hegseth fella, to stand there with all of the power in the world as the head of the so-called Department of War and say, I'm going to put, in the name of Jesus Christ, I bless these bullets that they may find their righteous target, is real fucked up antichrist shit. Right. It is like, you don't have to have a crazy imagination to say, like, that's the work of the devil on earth. If you're someone who believes, who has sincere beliefs about this kind of stuff, which I don't, to be clear. Yeah. But, like, where are the actual true believers to say, no, that's a demon. He's doing demon shit when he says that.
You know, I do wonder.
They're probably at church.
It is weird how there is, like, no discomfort at the let's say inconsistencies between, like, what the script. You know, I'm not a Christian fellow, but, like, it sounds like Jesus was more for, like, you know, love another, and then let's kill everybody runs counter to that. And there seems to be no problem with that. Similar to
I don't think that it's none.
The story is that the most powerful creature ever to walk the face of the planet willingly allowed himself to be killed as a sacrifice for the rest of the shitty human race, right? Rather than deploy his power for even an instant, he laid down his life so that the rest of us could live. Like, why do I have to tell you this?
I think there's probably more pushback from Christian churches than you're guessing. Well, how would we know?
I do wonder if just the primitive tribalism is blinding people of that, or they're overlooking that because like this team is all I got, right? So like as imperfect as it is, I can't go to the other side, right? So it seems like people are kind of looking the other way. I always thought like, how is prosperity gospel so popular? Like, you think that also runs counter to like if you're pastor?
It's the same stuff.
Right.
It makes sense that it's like when Donald Trump says it'll just go away naturally.
Yeah.
Like things, it's just going. We believe the right things.
Yeah.
Things are going to work out for us because I assert that they're going to work out for us.
Right.
And if you say it enough times, it will be true.
Right. Yeah, so maybe
it's the same stuff.
Yeah, it is bizarre. Yeah, because if you think about it, like, this seems to run counter to what I should be believing. But here we are.
To Lori's question of maybe the message is getting out there in church, and we just don't know because we're not going. That's possible. I think that the thing that is concerning is that which is ascendant is the Christian national thing, not the person who goes to church and gets a good message from their preacher thing.
I don't know if it's a catch-22. It's not the person who wants to like go on TV and become a famous pastor is a bad person.
Right.
So that you're not going to hear the good ones unless you go to their own church.
Yeah. The thing that is concerning to me, though, and this gets into, and this is ironic coming from me, who's, if I have a theological position, it is one of dedicated anti-theist. To put it as quickly and briefly as possible, if a monotheistic, all-powerful, all-knowing, all-loving God exists, what the fuck, man? Right? Like the only option is that this guy he doesn't care, right, or is actively the demiurge, right? He's actively an asshole,
right?
Which let's not foreclose on that possibility, certainly. But it would be to my preference that something like the true Christian gospel was adhered to, or at least being promoted by, like, even if it was being promoted by awful hypocrites, as it necessarily has to be, right? Like as with all good systems to which you attempt to adhere in some sort of moral or legal frame, you will fail, right? That's fine. It's good that you fail to live up to the system because the system is supposed to be the ideal.
Right.
And then the whole point is that we are fallible and imperfect beings who attempt to have something to guide us, right? It's the whole thing about we don't want a true and perfect democracy because that would be an actual nightmare, but we would like to be guided in the general direction of democratic representation and like the idea that representation matters and all of that. It would be to my preference that the so-called Judeo-Christian ideals that allegedly undergird the Western civilizational project stayed more or less pure, rather than being weaponized in the fashion that they're currently being weaponized in. And I don't think that's particularly new, right? Like I said, George W. Bush liked to talk in terms of grand sort of divine projects, and Ronald Reagan certainly didn't shy away from such things, and even every other relatively secular Democratic-leaning president.
Jimmy Carter was the first.
Right. Would gesture in the direction of being on the side of the angels here,
right?
More or less.
Is that like? I wonder if that's like filling some need that exists in the national identity, right? Like there needs to be something that unites people in a philosophical or religious way. Like even a secular government, I mean, I guess in Western Europe, in many parts, they don't have this issue, but like America is unique in this way, where it's more like a Middle East country, where you have to kind of like at least gesture in the direction of God, like if you want to hold public office. And so like I wonder if there's this need that we can't get away from. And so politicians play into that.
Yeah, and like, they said about Biden, like one of the things that people loved to say about Biden was he's a man of
the comforter
faith.
in chief, or the griever in chief, or whatever it was.
Yeah, but also like he's always going to church, right? Always praying the rosary, like a good Catholic type. Like this was meaningful to people for some reason.
Yeah, it's weird. It gives people comfort, right? Like it is like there is a distrust that people have. It keeps showing up in these polls, when it comes to somebody, if they declared themselves to be an atheist, like if they were otherwise like the perfect candidate, not like a wackadoodle in either direction, just very sensible, let's get to the, the things that matter, but I don't believe in God, that would like disqualify them from a good number of voters out there. Like even if they were like, they check all the other boxes, or the only boxes that should matter, but you have this other box that should not matter that plays a outsized role. It's like a shorthand for trust. Can I trust you? Do you have that sort of belief in things? And if you don't, like for some reason, it's just, oh, that's weird.
There just seems to be, and maybe it's just that I don't like the flavor of it because it is prosperity gospel and it is this, it has this nationalist tinge to it. But like the reason, and to maybe drive the point home, the reason that I don't like it when Barack Obama, a relatively secular person, ends his speech with God bless the troops, God bless the United States of America, is because it is the exact door opening or permission structure for the rest of it. Right? Even the anodyne statement, God bless the United States of America, to me goes too far in attempting to put the project of America in conversation with the project of the divine or the divine will. And that's fucking problematic.
Right, but if you
and it gets super fucking weird when it ends up with Pete Hegseth wanting to bless the bullets so that they find their righteous targets.
Right. But in a practical way, though, like you not invoking God at the end of, your speech would become such a distraction that it would, like, you would be advised to just say it just to not make it a story. Because then that becomes a story. Oh, the president did not thank the troops or say God bless you or whatever, right? And then in the news cycle, instead of whatever you just finished speaking about being discussed, it's this. And so, like, it's just not worth the effort to push back on this issue that many politicians think, oh, this is a slam dunk. This is not even like a difficult thing of being a politician. And so I don't think it's going to go away anytime soon.
Yeah. All right. I'm talking about persuasion and public opinion. There's a piece that I read in the Times. It's a opinion guest essay thing. It says, this is what will ruin public opinion polling for good. A recent Axios story on maternal health policy referred to findings that a majority of people trusted their doctors and nurses. On the surface, there's nothing unusual about that. What wasn't originally mentioned, however, was that these findings were made up. Clicking through the links revealed, as did a subsequent editor's note and clarification by Axios, that the public opinion poll was a computer simulation run by the artificial intelligence startup Aru. No people were involved in the creation of these opinions. The practice Aru used is called silicone sampling, and it's suddenly everywhere. The idea behind silicone sampling is simple and tantalizing. Because large language models can generate responses that emulate human answers, polling companies see an opportunity to use AI agents to simulate survey responses at a small fraction of the cost and time required for traditional polling. So you're not going to believe this, Abe, but if instead of doing polling, which is expensive and difficult, you can just make shit up, that's cheaper and easier.
But to what end?
Who fucking cares? Then you can just say, look, we found that this thing is what is the case according to findings. And leave it at that.
We have reached an absurd stage here.
It's an absurd new low in the experts say phenomenon, right? Which is like, because experts say, of course, you write in a story and you send it to the editor, and the editor's like, hey, we're going to need some authority here, so go figure it out. Get me a quote. And you're like, you go through your Rolodex or you find an associate professor of jerk off studies at Jerk Off U, and you get that guy to give you the quote that you need, and now it's experts say, and you're good to go.
I mean, I recall watching an episode of The West Wing, which ended, more than 20 years ago, where the census is done every 10 years. It's done a labor-intensive way. You go around and survey canvass the neighborhoods and count up. And in the episode, they were like, we could save some money if we did like some sort of sampling scheme, where like it's almost as accurate. You're off by a little, but like it's so much cheaper. But at least you're tethered to reality. This one, now you've removed reality, and now you just made something up, and you're presenting it as if it is reality, and it's kind of weird. Like, I don't understand what the point of this silicone survey aims to do, other than to like shape opinion. Like sometimes people will, if they see something that validates what they already believe, they'll click on the link. Like, hey, this fucking survey that I'm not going to read into, validates what I already believe.
Right, which is why and I tied it immediately to experts say, but really it's the direct sibling of push polling, where you go and you hire a firm to go get the answer that you want, and you craft your question in the way that you want the question crafted, and then it's like, well, 6 in 10 Americans say that it's good to shove grandma in front of traffic when she gets above 85 years old.
For the greater good.
Right, because you found your way to ask the question that got the result that you were looking for. In this, it's the same fucking thing. Yeah. It's like, we just want this result, create this result, find this result, and then we can call it findings.
Right, that's amazing.
It's real bad.
Yeah.
But I also think it's important to do the thing that I just did, which is to say it's not meaningfully different than what has come before. It's just a sneaky new way of doing it,
right?
And a less labor-intensive way of doing it. There's nothing new under the sun, of course. And not that we need to have this conversation for the 1,000th time, and it's a conversation that we will have 1,000 times moving forward. But what does it mean to attempt to like grok reality anymore?
Yeah,
and it's like, I don't know. I don't know that I can say, like, it's bad enough that I can read the New York Times and the Associated Press and CBS News for an hour and then feel like I have a pretty good idea of what's going on based on the 15 different stories that I just read. Like, I think I have an idea about the world that corresponds with something that approaches reality. Not to say that I understand everything, but like, surely I have some idea about the way the world really is, having done this reading. And I see my version of that as superior to someone who scrolled on Instagram Reels or TikTok for an hour and saw a bunch of news stories, right? Like my feeling is that I got a better idea about the reality of the world than they did. But like, not necessarily if I go and read an NPR story that is linking to some findings thing out of some other Axios story that was just made up out of whole cloth. And it's like, is there anything to be known? I know that you will always say, like, this is good because eventually people will realize that everything that's on the internet is bullshit and it doesn't correspond to reality. Right. And then we'll stop going to the internet for our reality. My concern is that we've talked about the experience machine problem in the past as well, is that we're just all going to be in the experience machine all of the time, and it doesn't matter. Like, there will be no shared, understood reality that we all participate in. We will all be living in our own bespoke, algo-specific individual realities that are not in conversation with one another, and it will just be like, at best you can find half a dozen other people in your life to have sort of meaningful interactions with about what's going on in the world, right. But it won't correspond to anything else that anyone else is experiencing.
Right.
Except sports.
Yeah, except sports. You know what's interesting? I will read the actual articles, and then I also sometimes occasionally will peruse the social media sites just to kind of see how it plays online. And there seems to be two different like information streams. One is like where the original long form magazine interview gets regurgitated down to this other information stream, which is social media, where it gets broken down to just something out of context or just something blown up way beyond proportion. And the experience for the person who's in this other information stream is much more limited than someone who read the entire magazine or listened to the, let's say, the 3-hour podcast, and there's a 10-second clip that they pulled. And so the person that's viewing it online, their interaction with this interview is just from those 10 seconds or those 60 seconds. And somebody who listened to the whole thing, there's a little more context. It seems to be like those two worlds seem to be moving apart. And like it depends on what sort of information stream person you are, and how you relate to the world would depend on that.
Right. And I say awful things all of the time, right? Like, maybe less so now than even a year or two ago. But like, you could pull things that I say out of context, and but also wholly in context, and be like, this guy's a real piece of shit. Like without a doubt, you could do that. Yeah. And make my life very unpleasant. Right.
Because their impression of you will be limited to that instead of having all of the hours of other things you've said.
Right. Which I have this expectation, this hope that like the holistic me is an understandable thing. I put out fucking hours of fucking content and context every fucking week about my things that I think and the things that I say. And like, if my true belief is that if someone engages with the things that I say in good faith, they will realize that I'm not the bad person that the 40 words or whatever suggests. Like, honestly, I would say, yes, that suggests that person is a bad. Right? Like, if you just take those words, that person is a bad. But people are so much more interesting than little fucking clips
People aren't.
Of them.
The podcast Solid Verbal did their secret garbage bracket last week, and the runner-up was short form video. They had the same conversation we had last week about how bad it is.
That's amazing.
The winner was Cars. Spoilers.
Really? Not a big fan of the car?
It's secret garbage.
Okay.
You have to weigh both equally.
Gotcha.
It was good. It was a short form video, and I was yelling at the podcast.
Right. What's concerning, though, is that the people who only consume things through, like I only get my news through TikTok, let's say.
They don't know of other kinds.
They don't know, and they've lost the ability to seek out the information on their own. They're waiting for some algorithm to feed it to them.
They ask ChatGPT everything.
Yes.
Everything.
That can be good for long term. Just you just need to have things atrophy, right? If you don't use them, and at some point.
Well, and it doesn't know. You're not getting necessarily good answers.
Like I said, a conversation we've had many times before, and will likely have many times moving forward. It just is it also the case that it just doesn't matter? That people simply do not care. That the worst part about this is not, because like I was listening to some talk about that Facebook, like whatever the Instagram ruling was last week, where the social media companies were found to potentially be liable for the content. And the way that they design their platforms was harmful to their end users, children in particular. Think about how precious we were with ourselves in 2016, in the aftermath of 2016. Mark Zuckerberg puts on a tie and he goes before Congress and he's like, it's a great personal shame, basically, that like Facebook in any way contributed to false narratives about the election, and the Cambridge Analytica was bought some hundreds of thousands of dollars in Facebook ads, and we were meant to believe that somehow some Russian troll operation had a meaningful impact on election returns in 2016, which I have always found to be largely bullshit. But we were like, it was Facebook's obsessive focus was, at least publicly, and the obsessive focus of legislators was to make sure that there were fewer lies on Facebook, and it's now 10 years later, and Instagram Reels and TikTok is just a never-ending stream of pure bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't think that you can appreciate, and I read some blog this week about how insane that is, and the guy's examples were all Epstein related, but like people making claims about how in the Epstein files there is documented proof that a baby was born and then raped until it was dead, like hundreds of times. Like they raped a newborn baby until it was dead. And this was an Instagram reel that was also a TikTok video that had been seen like hundreds of thousands and then millions of times. And it's just completely made up.
Right.
Like it's just there is no fact content to the thing, but because if you say Epstein and then make an outrageous claim, it's going to go mega viral. And I'm not saying that there is any way that we can actually control this, quite the opposite, in fact, right? That it is effectively, utterly out of the tube, like the toothpaste, it's everywhere. There's feces. We're all covered in feces, and there's nothing we can do about it. But it's amazing how quickly we went from, hey, Russian troll farms did some ad buys on Facebook that might have led people to believe false narratives about something, and then they might have gone to a protest in real life, right? Like that was the whole thing in 2016, was how scared we were that Russian troll farms told lies and had fake news about Hillary Clinton in 2016.
Right.
And now people are living in an ocean of total non-fact.
Yes.
Like just pure bullshit. And what's scarier about it is less when it's complete nonsense than when it is then when like your co-hosts of the Biffler fall prey to narratives about Israel and the rest of the world that are like, to me, utterly fact-free, or at least like fact-free enough to know that they are not getting their news from the traditional news sources that I'm getting my stuff from.
Right.
And it's like, you can go to Megyn Kelly and Tucker Carlson and the other anti-Iran war MAGA aligned people.
Yeah.
And they've just become Alex Jones.
Yes, like Candace
Like,
Owens is similar.
They are just Alex Jones.
Right.
And they are smarter than Alex Jones, and they say slightly less crazy shit than Alex Jones. But effectively, they have become Alex Jones. And it was one thing when Alex Jones was doing his crazy rants about how they're turning the frogs gay with the water, and they're going to turn you gay the same way they turned the frogs gay. And it was amusing, and it was its own thing. But now it's everything.
Right. It's everywhere also, yeah.
Right. And so I don't know where I was going necessarily with all of this, but
Straight to the gay frogs.
there must be something wrong. Like if we've entirely lost whatever institutional authority we had to say, hey, this stuff on the internet is wrong.
Right.
This stuff on the internet is bad, and we should try to do something about it, to now where TikTok and Instagram are just flooding people's feeds with things that are complete bullshit, and nobody cares.
Right.
And it seems fun.
And I suspect that things will progress even further. At some point, we're going to have AI agents providing like concierge like online services to where like they kind of like will filter the internet for you, and so instead of it going through an algorithm that tries to figure you out at a population level, you'll have like an AI agent that is dedicated to just filter the information specifically to you, right? So they don't need to say, oh, well, you're a 40-something male living in the Southeast, and you clicked on this, and you looked at this cleavage for too long, and so based on that, here's all this new content. It'll be even more granular, more specific. So everybody, will be in their own literal own bubble of information. They're going to consume stuff that's going to be drastically different than the person next to them, even more so than it is now. So like things are we're further moving away from reality and like a centralized place of where you get your information, like the local evening news or the national news or the weekend panel shows or what have you. Like none of that is happening now. So everybody's getting their information from wherever, and it's going to reinforce whatever biases they may have.
Right, to the point where the evening news and the Sunday talk shows are just about feeding the rest of the content machine.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't, and obviously like Pam Bondi goes before Congress and she does that thing and 80,000 people watched it live or whatever, but hundreds of millions of views of those clips later, she got what she was after. And the same goes for anybody who goes on with Meet the Press or Face the Nation at this point. The point is not the 125,000 people or whoever who are tuned in on Sunday morning who are going to watch that. Right. It's generating a usable clip either for yourself or for your enemies is the only real goal there. Right. And yeah, just feeding that content machine. It does make for a rather deranging experience of watching the news. Yeah, I don't know. I will say it was amusing. Jake Tapper on CNN.
Oh, he had fun.
He took full advantage of the fact that this is an official presidential communication and I'm on cable television, so I'm just going to read the thing without censoring it. And he said it half a dozen times.
It made me very uncomfortable.
In about 2 minutes. Open the fucking straight. All right. I don't know what else. We could do this Strassmann.
It's now time for America's favorite game show. Did Mark Strassmann, CBS News' senior national correspondent, get off a good one?
Or we can have a biomedical security state. And I can tell you, Florida, we're a free state.
Free state, costly approach.
Strassmann gets off a good one.
Another negative, surging positivity rates.
Ooh, sorry, Mark. Try again next time.
Strassmann's been heavy on the Artemis 2 beat here lately.
Mark Strassmann is at the Johnson Space Center. And Mark, good morning. You have had the coolest assignment of all time.
Hey, Nora, good morning, and you're absolutely right. This is a very, very cool assignment. This is a big day and an historic day for NASA. I want to give you a sense of something. This is a model of the moon. It's about the size of a basketball. If I turn around and hold the moon at arm's length, this is about what the moon size will look like to the astronauts at the closest point of their lunar flyby.
The four of us have looked at this moon our entire lives, and the way we are responding to what we are seeing out the window, it's amazing.
For Artemis 2, this moonshot has become a thrill ride. The moon keeps getting bigger, and a waxing moon means a waning planet Earth behind them. That's you and me and everyone else.
It was a half Earth, then it was a full Earth, and then it was a no Earth.
Now this was a long-distance conversation. The crew then 180,000 miles from Earth, telling us about their ever-changing perspective.
We've all watched a waxing moon from Earth. What's it like to watch the moon grow from space?
We were catching glimpses of the far side, the side that you can never see from Earth. It just looked different out the window, and that is wild. It just really put our place in the universe in perspective.
Tonight, their Orion capsule will curl around the moon's far side. The crew will come within 4,000 miles of the surface. The moon's illumination will be roughly 20%, and the crew will spend 3 hours taking photos of the lunar landscape.
You get the clay.
We watch them practice their photography before launching, sometimes using poster boards of the moon as a target, other times an inflatable moon hanging from the ceiling.
They're going to use a camera that looks just like this with a pretty big lens.
Paul Reichert is the mission's photography instructor.
And they're going to take a lot of pictures of the moon, probably over 10,000 in the 3 hours that they're going around it.
10,000.
10,000. You want to start at the side that the moon is disappearing first. Because if you don't get that side, you're going to miss it because you're going to travel past it.
The crew will capture areas of the moon never glimpsed before by human eyes. You'll be on one side of the moon. Everyone else on Earth will be on the other. What do you hope the rest of us are thinking about?
For me, it leads back to gratitude. Gratitude that out of this huge universe, we get to live together on Earth, planet Earth.
Early this morning, the capsule's trajectory pulled within the moon's sphere of influence. For the first time, the pull of the moon is stronger than the pull of Earth. Then again, the pull of the moon is what this mission is all about, and why millions of people are expected to follow the lunar flyby.
That's a great milestone for us.
The world will be enjoying the view at that point, won't they?
We're all going to be enjoying the view. And I hope the rest of the people of this country and of the world get to share in that experience.
When they get to the moon's far side this afternoon, the crew will set a new long-distance record from Earth. And while they're back there, there's no line of sight with Earth, so no communication for a time, radio silence for 40 minutes. Nate?
All right, Mark, thank you so much. All right, did Mark Strassmann, CBS News' senior national correspondent, get off a good one?
Yes, he did. You know, Strassmann's in contract year or something, but he was in his element. The wax and wane, the truly a long distance conversation.
And he's having a time there.
Pull of the moon thing, being the whole thing.
Strassmann gets off a good one. He does the example with holding the basketball.
That visual was not
in the palm of the hand. Is that... Because to me, like the moon is usually like a golf ball-ish.
Yeah, look huge.
Right? If I hold a golf ball out and far away from my head, but still in my hand, like that's about the size of the moon. So we're only going from a golf ball to a bat. We're going 300 goddamn thousand miles away, and we're only going to get within 4,000 miles, and it's still...
And there's still no Wi-Fi
looks
up
like
there.
a basketball.
Yeah, I did not know what the point of that was. Although I will say, you know... once and hopefully when they do land back home on this much better planet here, Earth, and the actual moon landing, which is I think supposed to happen in a couple of years, like 28, 29, once that happens, these people will be lost to history, right? There's no like they went around the moon. That's not significant unless something tragic happened. And so like if they land back and then the next crop of astronauts go up there and they do the landing as planned, then that'll be the story, right? These guys are just...
let them
they got 18. I'm just saying they got 18
Jesus
months.
Christ.
You better do the whole circuit. You know, go to the Today Show and the Good Morning Americas and get your 15 minutes.
Did you find that it's a little unusual that you would have them point and click 10,000 times?
Yeah,
from inside the capsule, like out the window. Like, is that really the best way to get all of this data that we're trying?
Yeah, that is.
There's no external sensors or cameras or something?
No, and there's the fact that we can't communicate just on the other side of the moon is, I think, pathetic.
Do you know how fucking hard it is to do what we do here on Earth in terms of instant communication?
I know it goes wrong a lot.
I don't know.
Like your wired connection here fucks up more than anything.
Yeah.
Maybe we should put a moon between you and the router.
What could you do? I mean, I assume that you could position, like, if
satellites and shit.
Yeah, can't you just like put a couple of satellites in orbit around the moon so that
maybe,
we don't?
I mean, that's quite far.
We don't lose contact with them.
It's fine. I'm sure it's fine. It's just like, really.
You think one of those astronauts can be up there and he's just like going to take his dick out? He's like, hey, I'm on the dark side of the moon. You can't tell anybody about it either.
Sworn to secrecy. No one's going to believe you anyways.
That's right.
That'd be a good opportunity because these are decorated, like well-educated. I'm sure it's impossible to even get to this position. If you were to just whip it out on the dark side of the moon, no one would believe it. Like, what? No, this person?
Can't you? You should have some sort of pact with your... there's 4 of them up there in this capsule. Like, look, what happens on the dark side of the moon stays on the dark
All
side
right,
of the
you
moon.
have 45 minutes.
They were supposed to take 10,000 photographs, and instead they just race baited for 45 minutes. Anyway, A lot of shenanigans up there in outer space, I would imagine. We can talk about that since we went to the movies this week.
Well, I have to go get medicine.
Oh, the Project Hail Mary thing.
Something else.
I did not watch the game. I just caught highlights. There was some outfielder who caught 3 home run. And that third one.
An Angels guy.
Yeah, and that third one was like into the stands. I don't know what the probability is of that happening. Like
in a 1-run game, I believe, right? He saved 3 runs by himself.
Yeah, it's amazing.
They should, and these were all legit, like going out home run robberies.
Right. Just perfectly timed.
I would have walked into the locker room at the end of that game and demanded like everyone else's game check.
That's right. There should be some sort of curious like bonus structure in contracts. If something like an outlier event like this happens, you should get like at least $500,000 bonus or something.
If you save 3 home runs in a game that your team only wins by 1 run, like that's worth like your WAR for this. Your win above replacement should go up by at least 2.
Yes, at least
just for that single game.
That's true. What is the official rule, by the way, when a player in the process of catching a ball goes over the line and there is a brief moment where they're not visible? Basically, the chain of evidence, like the visual evidence of you having caught the ball, there's a brief period where it's not exactly clear you still have possession of the ball. You just see them standing up and confidently raising their suggesting that
it was seamless enough where I don't think that you could make the argument that he bobbled it and then re-secured it.
But I'm sure the baseball rule, this is not an unwritten rule, right? Like it's
in the judgment of the umpire.
Okay, so
like
there's wiggle room.
Else.
Basically, it's like, he looked like it didn't look like he had possession of it going into
baseball.
Yeah. Okay. So there is some wiggle room. Like if
well, they had to review that last one just to make sure that, because if he leaves the field of play and then makes the catch, then it's a home run. Right. But if he makes the catch and then falls out of the field of play, then it's an out. But yeah, spectacular. Yeah. And he got super pumped after the second one. And then by the time the third one happened, he's like, I am God.
That's right.
Like, come at me, bro.
There's a picture of him doing that I am God pose that looked spectacular, floating around somewhere.
Yeah.
Who was this?
The outfielder for the Angels who robbed 3 home runs in 1 game.
Yes.
Really great. You've been listening to Cast Iron Brains, a podcast with Bob and Abe. Find the show on Substack, brainiron.substack.com. For more from us, the opening and closing themes of the show were composed by Mark Gillig, tetramermusic.com, Tetramer music.com. For more from Mark. Abe, did you make it to the movies this week?
I did. I went to go see The Drama with Robert Pattinson of like Twilight fame and Zendaya of Zendaya fame. So this, I don't know if you guys have seen any trailer for this.
I only saw a poster.
Okay, a poster. They left it vague on purpose. Basically, they don't give away the plot at all. And I enjoy this movie, so the big reveal I'm going to not spoil. But the concept of the movie is this couple. They meet. Is
the big reveal at the end? Is the reason that they don't spoil it is that the whole concept of the movie hinges on the big reveal?
Yes. Basically, it's early on. It's revealed like maybe like 25 minutes into the movie, and the whole rest of the movie is just, reacting to that information. But anyways, Zendaya and Robert Pattinson, there's like a meet cute kind of thing. They fall in love, and they're about to get married. And on the eve of their wedding, they're drinking with friends, like, the maid of honor and like best man, the inner circle of the party. And drunkenly, there is this what is the worst thing you've ever done kind of game that gets kicked off. One person is like, I think they put their girlfriend in front of them to protect themselves against a dog attack, which is not very gentlemanly, but, this is the worst thing you've done. And everybody else does, some embarrassing thing from their past.
Whoever started this game is habitual line
that
stepper,
true, yes.
as you might say.
That person likes drama.
Yeah, that person. Actually, theirs was pretty bad, but I'll leave that aside also. But Zendaya's character, her revelation is like a destabilizing event for everybody. They can't get past what she did in her past. Like something that is just kind of out of left field. It's not like, it's just a random thing.
Sure.
That's against type, I'll say that. And so basically, and this is a weird reveal, like in a drunken kind of group setting, the husband-to-be does not know this. So he finds out at the same time as these other friends are finding out. And the whole movie, he's just questioning him, like, what the fuck? This is, like, how can I be with somebody like that? It's like, again, a destabilizing fact. And the whole movie just kind of falls apart because of that. So it's like this dark comedy kind of thing. And it's enjoyable. But the hook is basically what she did in the past. And everybody trying to get past it.
A good movie, a good version of this is that we, the audience, don't get to find out what the thing is until the end, or never. Yes. And it ends up being something like something Cartman does on South Park, like peeling all the skin off the KFC or making someone eat their parents.
Yeah, I'm sure that it's a perfectly good review, like whatever the thing is. I'm sure it is fine and good. I tend to agree with Lori. I think not knowing could be tantalizing and frustrating in various good ways.
That's true. I will say, though, it does kind of play out fine. The one thing I will say, though, is it is a poor judgment on her part to divulge this. Like, I'm for truth-telling in a general sense, but there was no upside to this revelation, especially in this context. Tell your Robert Pattinson guy, like, in private, and then you can kind of have a game plan. But this was revealed to a group, so now you can't deny it, and here we are. But anyways, worth a watch.
Cool.
And that was on the movie front. I did catch up. I was behind on 60 Minutes by 2 weeks, and so I caught up. There was a segment from not this past Sunday's 60 Minutes, but the one previous to that on the Ukraine war. It's about the changing landscape of drone warfare. It is a very depressing watch. Basically, like there is apparently, I did not know this, 80% of combat casualties on both sides is due to the drones that are being deployed. 80%, which sounds like unreasonably high, but that's what they said. And there is apparently, like, where there used to be a no man's land kind of area between the two front lines, there is now a kill zone. So if you're in that area, like, they'll just have sniper drone dudes that are following you around.
No man's land in a different way.
Yes. And what's weird is that the footage is available. You see these random Russian and Ukrainians, like, caught off guard because this drone. So the point of view is we're the bomb. And we're approaching this random Russian who's trying to evade, like, again, from our point of view. And so you see them, like, get to you and then it explodes and the person's dead. And it's just, like, horrific. I can't believe people are living this life at the same time. We're bullshitting here on this podcast. But it was a very interesting watch. I would recommend people watch it.
I know that we live in, like, the most heavily armed society in civilization history, right? Like, we are 350 million Americans, maybe 450 million guns among us, right? Lots of guns out there. Yet we generally, in our day-to-day lives, don't experience gun violence, right? Even though we live in one of the more violent societies on the planet, and plenty of people certainly do die every year of guns. I have no particular fear of dying in gun violence.
I do.
Perhaps that's foolish. I am shocked that we are not yet panicking, and maybe we got a taste of it. What was the New Jersey thing a year ago or something, or a couple of years ago during the Biden presidency, when there were, like, all of these drones,
all those sightings, right? Yeah, all these
these weirdo sightings that probably they were just aircraft or various other military aircraft of some sort. But it is, and I'm sure that they explore this in that 60 Minutes segment, which I have not yet watched, but I will now that you've described it. I'm sure that they mentioned how relatively cheap these munitions are.
Yes.
Compared to like, I forget, I don't know what the name, like a Reaper drone or
Yeah.
whatever the fuck we call them, where it's millions of dollars, and it's just not that way anymore. It is trivially inexpensive to load up a drone with enough explosives to kill somebody or to cause infrastructure damage, and just crash it into shit.
Right.
And like, we haven't seen any of that yet
Right.
here in this country. It's going to happen.
Right.
Like, and it's going to be terrible.
Right.
And I don't know why it hasn't happened yet. I'm kind of
you haven't
mystified.
talked about it on your podcast, Bob.
I'm kind of mystified that like angry jihadist types aren't simply doing the easiest thing that you can do, which is for a few $1,000s, send dozens of drones into the air, loaded up with explosives, and cause mayhem.
Right, like a swarm.
In a city.
Yeah, like a swarm of just drones where like it will overwhelm the defenses, right? And that's what they mentioned in the segment, that Iran is well versed in this terrain, and that's why it's so challenging to go up against Iran. And in the segment, they talk about how America, who's been involved with Ukraine for the past 4+ years, they have been caught flat-footed. Like, even though Ukraine has been trying to tell them, hey, we can show you.
They have the same drones.
Yeah, like, we can show you how to do this. And they're like, we don't have to worry about this. And now we are having to worry about this. And so now the U.S. is playing catch-up, and they're getting advice from the Ukrainians on how to defend against this whole operation. But it has the way they described it was it literally has transformed the way wars are being fought. Like, basically, people are conceding the air and the Navy and all of that is to basically just try to defend against these relatively cheap drones that can kill people.
When Julia and I are in the same place, if she hears a certain sound, she's like, "Oh no, we're fine."
Really?
But it's
like PTSD
so,
almost. Yeah.
It's frequent enough that any buzzing in her normal life, it's like, uh-oh.
Okay.
But when she's in America, it's usually something else buzzing.
Like what?
A phone, a
Sure.
toy, a dildo,
Yeah, that's where I thought you were going.
an electric toothbrush.
Yeah. It just seems not great. The future of warfare. It's going to be way easier. I've long been sort of semi freaking out about like 3D printers and like how gun control is like a very silly concept in an age of 3D printing. 3D printing has not evolved in the way that it was promised, the way it was going to transform everyday manufacturing processes. Right. So maybe the drones won't evolve in that same way. Anything else on your media consumption diet worth mentioning?
That was all.
So
First, we watched the whole 5th season of Shoresy in one night. It was so romantic.
Oh, yeah.
He watched a whole show, the whole season.
Oh, wow, neat.
We haven't done that in like a decade.
There's only 6 episodes in season 5
it doesn't
of Shoresy.
matter with you. Usually you make a sprinkle.
And they're between like 22 and 29 minutes long, so you're able to polish it off quite quickly. Season 5 is not the best season of Shoresy. It is
but it
a
doesn't
perfectly
need to
acceptable example of a season of Shoresy. It could have ended with season 4 and everything would have been
Could have ended
fine.
with season 3.
Yeah.
And it kind of did.
Yeah. But
it's so fucking good.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. A perfectly acceptable way to say goodbye to these characters.
If that's what we're doing, they might be doing another one.
I don't know. Come back in a few years with a movie or another short season. That would be fine.
They're shorter than a night?
I know. It just felt like it feels like something that's run its course in the moment to me. But yeah, perfectly fine. I also watched a couple of episodes of the Neighbors show that you talked about so glowingly last week, Abe.
Bob, who dumps on Katie for watching, what is that show she likes?
garbage reality TV that she watches?
Yeah.
Some cooking
Nailed
show or
it.
another? Nailed it.
She just wants to watch Nailed It, and Bob's like, no, this is garbage trash. You're not allowed to watch this. Watch something more highbrow.
And then I put on Neighbors. I will say, obviously, it's not quite as pure trash as... So, I mean, yes, the people are...
The people are like,
obviously.
the bottom of the bottom.
Right. I will say about these people, because it is tempting to say, like, well, these are our fellow Americans. I can't believe we share a country with these people. These are diamonds in the rough. These are rare breeds.
What's rougher than the rough?
And what I think is interesting about it is the concept takes two to tango.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is, I think that why you're only going to get, and yeah, like you will eventually get more complete fucking psychos out there who you can point a camera out at and they will do complete psycho shit. But like it's relatively rare, right? And what makes this Neighbors show, I think, rare, or like these dynamics rare, is that like in any given neighborhood there might be one of these people who are utterly fucking unhinged and deranged, but you're not going to have someone who's willing to dance with them. Right? And so like there's the episode with the cat lady and the young black family couple. And like they didn't seem crazy in the way that some of these other pairings do. Like this is a guy he's a little bit of a dummy maybe.
Yes, there are a lot of dummies on this show.
Right, but he is not a grotesque in the way that this woman is sort of like a classic. And that's the thing. They all have these Billy Mitchell from The King of Kong, Fistful of Quarters, also a Floridian, like many of these people on this show seem to be Floridians. A lot of them have these delusions of grandeur. Yes. And like there's something that ties a certain kind of American to the greater American myth, which is like, I'm going to be great. Like it is in my birthright to be great, to the point where this fucking psychotic cat lady who lives in Philadelphia, who feeds a dozen cats and allows them to piss and shit everywhere, and it ruins the experience of living next door to her, also believes that she's writing the screenplay, or at least the treatment for the next great Mel Gibson Hollywood production, right? Like she thinks that the Lost Years of Jesus Christ is going to be something that America is just going to gobble up once Mel Gibson gets his hands on it. These people are insane. It just requires that two insane people come together. Like there's the one idiot who wants to have a farm in his suburban Floridian neighborhood there, and like there are 200 people who live within I should be angry about this distance, but there's only that one crazy gay couple of dudes who are willing to really go to the mattresses on the question, right?
Yeah, they're basically like creating like a campaign against, like they're talking to the neighbors, and they're like, yeah, whatever, it's kind of annoying, but
And it really was only half the gay couple.
Right, and only one of the two of the gay couple.
The other one would have just left it.
But it's just like that. That was the thing that I took from the 3 episodes or so that we watched, which is like, yeah, there are a functionally endless number of individual psychos out there that you could find to profile. But it's a relatively rare thing that there are 2 of them in immediate proximity of one another. Right. And then we went also to see the runaway smash hit Project Hail Mary, along with the rest of America, seemingly.
How did you guys enjoy it?
I liked it. I didn't once want to be doing anything else, and I also didn't wonder why the fuck I was watching this movie.
And none of y'all have read the book, right? So this was your first...
Bob read the book.
Well, I listened to the book.
That's the same thing.
It's not quite the same thing, because my impression of the story is tied directly into the performance given by the voiceover artist, and I despised the performance, and so I don't know
You
what
despise
my reaction.
the performance in the audiobook or in the movie?
No, the audiobook. I couldn't stand
Really? Just very grating, or what was the problem? Just
yeah, the performance was just I didn't care for it. I would have found the lead character more sympathetic reading it in my voice than reading it or hearing it in the voice of this other guy. There's a smug annoyingness to the way that the guy performed the character that I didn't care for. I believe, as I've said before, effectively is Chandler Bing. If you can handle living in the headspace of Chandler Bing for an extended period of time, you'll probably be fine with Project Hail Mary, the audiobook. But I cannot abide that particular headspace. I was disappointed in this movie, even though I enjoyed it.
Okay.
And I'll say that because my experience of listening to the book was, I know this can be a great movie. Like, even as I'm annoyed with this book, I think this could be a really good movie. And I think they chose to make a certain kind of crowd-pleasing movie rather than try to make a great movie.
They dumbed it down in your estimation?
They dumbed down. I mean, first of all, they dumbed down all of the science to a laughable degree.
2 hours and 37 minutes.
You keep saying that. The Martian, this ain't, even in terms of just the presentation of the science, right? Like, there were far more 2-minute vignettes of Mark Watney, as portrayed by Matt Damon, doing cool science shit, right, and solving engineering problems, or back on Earth with the NASA people trying to make the square peg fit the round hole logistically, like that. There was more of that in The Martian, and the book is just full of it. It's page after page of science and biology and engineering problems that he has to work through.
But The Martian is a much simpler problem. Guy stuck on Mars. This is a very complicated.
Yeah,
made up. They make things up in this. Mars exists and is far.
The closest that you get to any science being done is that one scene in the beginning where he goes to Home Depot and they have the montage of them buying supplies at Home Depot, because this is at its root a buddy comedy. The first third of the story is a buddy comedy between him and the black security guard, and the final 2/3 is a buddy comedy between him and the Rocky alien fella from Tau Ceti. And that's why it's Ryan Gosling's strength is to be in these buddy comedies. Like he's was it The Nice Guys, I think, that he was in.
And that one with Steve Carell. Love sucks. Love.
What is that with?
Love.
Yeah, something love
is funny. Funny thing. Love. Crazy stupid
there
love.
There you go. Bing, 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 bing. Yeah, but, Gosling's a very affable fellow. Yeah.
Yeah, and anyway, the point here is that they took all of the science out, and it's fine, but they really took all of the science out. And so that was dumbed down, and it's fine. The story that they wanted to tell was the story of the relationship between this guy and the alien fella as a means of giving Ryan Gosling's character a meaningful emotional arc of going from, I mean, not everybody complained about the spoiler of the trailer being that he makes first contact with an alien. That happens relatively early in the story. I don't know how you can tease this movie without giving that away. The real spoiler, and earmuffs if you plan on seeing this and you care about the character development here at all, the real spoiler is that the Gosling character is a coward who was forced to do this by an officious bureaucrat, fascist, basically put in charge of saving the Earth.
By the way, in the book, is that a composite character, or did the world just install some person to act on behalf of the world?
Yes, effectively that.
Okay, so that was true to the
character.
book. Okay.
The character of Strat, who's the redheaded lady in charge of making sure that the world doesn't die, is directly from the book.
Okay.
And she's a better character in the book. I mean, I don't know. She was also I enjoyed her in the movie as well. But we got a little bit more of her in the book. But anyway, I thought that was also handled with a very light touch. This is a movie with no weight to it whatsoever. There's no pathos here. It's all just surface level stuff. And I think that was a choice. It was a choice that was made to not make the Ryan Gosling character as sort of like the great sin here. And maybe knowing about it ahead of time robbed it of its potency, but I didn't feel like they really sold how sort of shamefully cowardly it would have been for him to turn down the request to go do this mission. Like it is an act of pure selfish cowardice.
But also, okay, I mean, yes, but also like it seems like a lot of people will have made that choice, that coward, like self-preservation. Even though you're not preserving anything, the world is doomed. But you're like, fuck it, I'm not doing this. And I wonder how many more people would be petty on the other side and just say, fuck it, the world's going to die anyways. How dare you try to undermine my agency?
You mean like once he's out there?
Yeah, what's it doing?
Like just, I'm not going to do any of the science anyway. Fuck you.
Fuck you. We're all going to die.
I mean, that would be a next level of spite that I think not even you are
That's why you
capable
want
of that
a
much
volunteer, voluntary compliance. You can't just be taking a wild guess that this person's going to, act right. Like, well, I'm dead anyways. Let me help out humanity. That put me in this position, by the way. Fuck humanity. Thumbs down. And not like the way that stupid alien did it.
Are you suggesting that you, in fact, possess the amount of spite necessary to burn all of humanity and all of life on Earth?
Nothing.
Simply because they made you do something you didn't want to do?
Nothing is beneath me. Obviously, I would not be the coward. I would have taken it. But were I the coward, yes.
Anyway, was your impression of him purely positive, and did it not?
I had nothing to compare it to, so I was kind of going in without any sort of like, well, I want it to be a certain way, so I just kind of took it as it came. I thought like just the way that the story unfolds in the movie, where they kind of go back and you don't realize he did the cowardly thing until a bit down the road, right. And all this interaction with his rock, I don't know.
It's just that this was a movie that I thought could have delivered a number of like meaningfully emotional gut punches.
We've all got a lot going on, Bob. I don't think we need more gut punches.
No, I know, but it could have grappled with weightier themes in a way that. So I went into this thinking like Calvin's going to see this movie and we might walk out of this with him saying this is the best movie I've ever seen. Like this could be Calvin's new favorite movie if they do this right. And afterwards I was like, no, this is something that he will remember fondly and probably not have any meaningful emotional connection to. Because it's just very light. Everything about it is very light. There wasn't a lot of emotional heft to any of it.
Wish I was doing something else.
All right. And I'm just saying that it's a bummer because like it put me in mind of Ad Astra from a few years ago, the Brad Pitt movie, which is on the opposite end of this spectrum here, where it's all like fucking super heavy dad shit, right? Like that's a story that's just it's sort of space horror and also dad-son relationship stuff for 2.5 hours, and this had none of that. It's like I just imagine. So like Interstellar is a movie full of weighty shit, right? It has these big emotional moments that are supposed to grab you and make you think about things beyond whether or not you like Ryan Gosling or whether or not you like Matthew McConaughey. And this doesn't do that. And I just wonder, like, what would a Christopher Nolan version of this have been. And of course, it would have been an entirely different movie because Christopher Nolan does not have an identifiable sense of humor, as far as you can tell from watching his movies. And this movie did
And that lady character would have been way worse.
Yeah. This movie did need a sense of humor. And like Gosling, I think, was the right choice. I also wanted there to be more psychological and emotional heft to the thing, and I didn't get that from this movie.
Yeah, I
all.
think they just were striving for a crowd pleaser, and they achieved that. Like complicating it would have made it worse for that appeal.
Yeah, this is making a ton of money. I just wonder, could they have gotten away with, hey, let's only make $250 million on this movie,
never
and make
enough money,
and make a better movie. They just didn't. They clearly didn't swing for. You'll forgive me. They didn't swing for the stars here. They wanted to make a crowd pleaser of a movie that made a pile of money and made people feel good, and that's fine. That's a perfectly fine thing to do. I'm just disappointed because I think that this could have been a great movie, and this is nowhere near a great movie. Anyway. What else did we watch? Anything?
Oh, that Yacht Rock documentary, part of it. Yacht Rock's awful.
Is this the HBO documentary or something?
Yeah.
It's one of the Bill Simmons music box things where they document the history of yacht rock and try to convince you that it's cool, and it's not.
It's a made-up subgenre, right?
Well, yes.
That was the most interesting thing about this documentary is that they discuss how some fucking early 2000s comedy troupe, a pre-YouTube internet comedy troupe, invented the term yacht rock, and it caught on. But basically, it just describes, like, if you've ever heard Michael McDonald sing, it's that guy. If you like Steely Dan, then you like yacht rock. And it's just it's a genre of music that grates against me. There's something that is extremely knowing about it. There's a knowingness to it that bums me out. I don't have a good way.
I really think it's just the 70s.
What do you mean by no? It is like a unearned familiarity or something. Like what is a knowing about?
It's
too sincere.
It's not even its sincerity. It is sincerity. It is above sincerity. It is a knowingness.
It's not too sincere. No, woman. It's above sincerity.
I'm saying that it is a cousin of sincerity. I'm not trying to mansplain this to you.
It's just funny. It's just the exact words that you use were very funny.
There is a smarm and a coolness to it, and a knowingness. I don't know how else to explain it. There's a remove, right? There's a remove. It's almost an academic approach to, I'm going to make this sound because this is the sound that sounds good. It is smooth and cool, and people will like it. There's zero, from my perspective, there is zero emotional. There's zero authentic emotional
what did that girl say?
Expression.
She was like, "It's actually really punk rock," and it was like, "Oh no, lady, it is whatever the opposite of that is."
So it's basically a formulaic, soulless thing.
It's not that it's formulaic. It's all formulaic.
It's not right. It's not even that it's formulaic.
It's the sound. It's the sound itself. It's bad. It's bad, you see? It's bad. It's boring. The beats per minute, it's like 8 beats per minute maybe. I don't know how you can make slower music than this. And the dynamics, it stays the same volume the whole time. It is this fast, and it stays the same volume the whole time. And if you like that, good.
It's like they've identified an emotion and then are wringing its neck. Like there's a oh, look at this emotion. You must like I am presenting to you a polished thing the inside of which there is an emotional truth. But like, if you have spent 20 years polishing the emotional truth, robbing it of all of its fucking rough edges, then it's no longer an emotional truth. It's something else.
Right. It's insincere.
Right. There is something to me about it that screams product in a way that other music that is also product does not. Because its aim is not to get a psychological or emotional reaction from me. Its aim is to be just fucking smooth and cool, and to be, I mean, for lack of a better term, it's easy listening, right? Like, no, let's just put on the...
It's not easy for me.
Yeah. It's hard for me to describe what it is that I hate about Steely Dan when I recognize that these are fucking awesome musicians and superior songwriters, and I cannot make any connection with it whatsoever. Like, it does...
I just wonder what it would sound like if it was 10 years before or 15 years after. If all those people were the correct age before or after, it might have been fine. It might have been like prog rock.
I don't know. It's
just the 70s in LA was a bad time and place.
It's like they went out and they did a murder on the emotion. And then they're giving you the dead corpse of the emotion. Like, there's, I don't know. I could keep going probably and maybe stumble across something that was a true reflection of what I don't like about this music. But yeah, you kind of need to listen to it to understand how bad it is. I don't know. Abe, you're always talking about these movies, and it's like, yeah, it was a movie. It was good. It was pretty good. And that, like, the praise that you gave the drama was about as high praise as you get in terms of movies.
Yeah.
Which is, I'm not going to ruin this for you, and it was enjoyable. And I don't want to be disappointed by movies as a general rule.
Then don't read the book before you see it.
Yeah, I do wonder if you would have enjoyed this particular movie, had you not read or listened to the book.
You poison your brain when you do that. Unless it's a Harry Potter.
You call it poison, and what I'm saying is I want things to be great when the opportunity is clearly there for them to be great. And I don't... Am I expecting too much out of the culture at this point?
You're expecting... whenever... Who's read a book and seen the movie and said, oh, that was perfect, unless it was a teen... Like, if it's Hunger Games, Harry Potter, Percy Jackson, those all translate. But if it's an actual book, you cannot expect the movie to ever touch it.
But I don't think that this was a great book. This is where I think
No. I
you're
didn't say you
misunderstanding.
thought it was a great book.
I don't think it's a great book. I think it had an opportunity to be a great movie in a pop art sort of way. And I want, like... It's like if they made Forrest Gump, but you couldn't make an emotional connection to anything that was going on the screen. Like, and I just wonder if there's do we make those sorts of movies anymore? Where a 12-year-old who goes and sees it and is like, man, that was just the greatest fucking movie I've ever seen. And like, it meant a lot to me and I almost cried.
I'm sure that is happening. I think you have to be 12 for that to happen. Like, if you're removed from that, it's hard to, like, kids, I enjoyed a lot of slop when I was 12. 13, it's like...
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I'm not talking about slop. I'm talking about, like...
The first movie I ever cried at was Contact.
Great movie.
Contact, wow.
I think I cried at that movie, too, probably.
Oh, my God, I was a mess.
Although that was, like, 97, so it's not like we were babies.
No, but we were, like, Calvin's age.
A little older, yeah.
What kind of weird math are you doing?
We were 14 when Contact came out.
Okay.
Glad we got to the bottom of that.
I mean, a whole year older. That matters at this age.
It's just, it's fine, but that's the price you pay for reading a book before you see it, especially recently before.
But this was this is... you're acting like there's some great emotional content to the book. There's not.
I'm not. I'm talking about like me reading World War Z and making the movie of it in my head.
That's a particularly bad example because that movie had nothing to do with the book.
No, but it didn't have nothing to do with it. They just went a different direction.
Nothing to do with the book.
My version of that movie is so fucking good. They didn't make that because that was my version in my head.
Yeah, and the other thing is with books, you have to make certain choices when you're adapting it to film. So, like, I think just from what I gather about the book, like they probably thought, how are we going to handle all the science, right? Do we want the movie to be like, cause that would have to be handled well. You could have this clunky exposition of the science, and it just detracts from the whole movie. So, like, if you can't do that well, better to not do it at all.
Which they didn't.
Right. So so they just decided we can't do it in a way that it coheres with the rest of the movie, and so we're gonna do vignettes and do some other thing.
It didn't feel to me like there was no science at all. It felt like there was science that I didn't understand with the space bugs. I don't know. I let it go because it's not important to the movie.
Yeah, sure.
The movie is
it's fine.
Guys deciding how to deal with being in space, and like the spaceship, it was so beautiful.
Also, how many years? Okay, near the end, and not to spoil it too much, but time has passed, right? Like the lady, she's like on some boat or whatever, right? So like what?
30 years.
So it's been 30 years. She's like 30 years older.
No, it's 20 something years. Okay. It's not 30 full years. But yeah.
Well, you're a stickler for the exact year, Bo.
It's 20 years, 13, I think. 22 years or something.
It's not 30. It's 26.
So yeah, that's the amount of time that passed on Earth, and actually that's a scene that doesn't exist in the book either. You don't ever actually find out. You get a hint in the final lines of the book that
the gambit worked?
That it worked, but you have no indication because it's from the perspective of our main character. He couldn't have. He never makes it back to Earth in the story, and so you wouldn't have known whether or not they were successful. But spoilers here. But the way that they figure out in the book that it probably worked is that from Tau Ceti, which is the planet where he's living with his fellow, the rocky alien fellas, they're able to observe Earth's sun, right, the sun in our solar system, and see that it is visibly brightened in the years since he sent back the probes with the relevant information. And that's how they discover that, hey, it worked. Okay. Good news. Humanity lives on in all likelihood. Anyway, again, I'm complaining that they didn't make the movie that I wanted them to make, and I recognize that that's a loser's game. But I remain disappointed because I think this is a movie that could have had an impact on people. And yeah, it's good. People are seeing it, and so that's fine. So it's having that sort of an impact. But this could have been an emotionally and psychologically impactful movie in a way that it simply wasn't. It's just a popcorn movie, and that's fine.
Missed opportunity.
That's what I think, yes. Anyway, and I finished the book that I was reading last week called There Is No Anti-Memetics Division by Quantum, QNTM is the author's name. And it was fine. I would heartily recommend it to people if you are into sort of a confusing mindfuck type novel. If you're looking for a satisfying story that tells you how to get from A to Z, you will be sorely disappointed. But an enjoyable and funny read nonetheless. And is probably saying interesting things about the way that we currently live, but was not saying them as explicitly as I thought that they were eventually. Like I thought that it's another one, and it's my fault maybe for wanting more out of things that I'm simply taking in as a consumer. But it's like, could this be saying something more interesting than it's actually trying to say? And if it is, it requires a lot me to do a lot of the dirty work in terms of making that happen, rather than it coming from the text itself, perhaps. But a good book, and one that's worth reading, I think. So, Abe, have you got anything else for us tonight?
Nope.
I guess that's all we've got for you tonight, then, and we'll talk to you next time.
Later.
What do you have going on? Anything exciting?
I'm heading down to the land of Florida this week. Going down to Tampa, Thursday through Sunday.
For what?
This is
holiday?
my the road trip thing that I do. I like to go to random places, second-tier cities, and Tampa fits.
There's a
right
couple
in.
of second-tier cities between you and Tampa that you could stop at instead of going to Tampa.
It is, it's interesting. This is supposed to be a road trip thing. So I'm doing the road trip to Tampa in April, and then Detroit was May. Mid-May, drive up 11 hours. So it's gonna, I already had my playlist and whatever. And then I randomly go to Kayak and look at the prices. This is not a price-driven thing, but I was like, let me see what cost is. A round-trip ticket from Atlanta to Detroit on Delta was $130.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Which is, I was like, okay.
Yeah, that's
if I
free.
did that, and that would basically save me like 22 hours. Like, I
Yeah.
could do more things in Detroit and maybe get stabbed.
That's got to be cheaper
But,
than the gas.
It's got to be cheaper
Yeah,
than
like,
gas.
it probably is cheaper than the gas and the time,
Are you going to see
and,
baseball games in these places?
So that in a weird way, it's kind of working out that way. So the Yankees are in town in Tampa this weekend, and then I think the Blue Jays are in town in Detroit when I'm up there. So I was like, while I'm going to these second-rate cities, I can visit ballparks on the way, and so those two worked out. When I go to the Grand Canyon,
No baseball
maybe I'll
there.
catch.
What will you? How will you get
Arizona-
around in Detroit? You just Uber and walk and.
Yeah, basically, I got like I'm going to be in the city center area, so I'll just Uber it if I need to, But in Tampa, which is this week, it'll be nice. I was going to go to that Busch Gardens thing that we went to. They have one in Tampa,
do.
but there's like so many activities I couldn't fit it in.
Yeah.
I was like, because if you're going to go, you want to go for a good chunk of time.
What are you doing in Tampa besides the ball game? What is there to do?
There's there's a music festival on Friday. And there's all this tourist stuff that I wanted to do on Saturday, and then Sunday was going to be the Yankees game at Tropicana Field.
Nice.
Before I drive back on Sunday.
Stop at the
then get
Buc-ee's
there.
somewhere south of it.
Yeah, stop at the Buc-ee's. Yeah, go through the. I think I've been to. Remember many years ago when Chris and we went drinking on like my birthday, and the next day I was supposed to be like for the ACC title game in Tampa. That like Mike had to like befriend you on Facebook for you to come downstairs and wake me up.
Yeah.
I think that was the last time I was in Tampa, so I was like very like out of it. I don't remember. I just kind of hung over during the whole thing. So this one will be a much more scenic.
The proceeding was created with 100% human content.